Welcome to another episode of Behind the Needle. I am here with MaryAnn Guerra, who is the founder, and CEO of Aesthetics Biomedical. And we were just joking, if you're watching this, she is a fiery person, and I can tell just from talking to her for 5 minutes, and she feels very confined. She feels very confined by this microphone and is like, what do I do if I just want to go? And I'm like, you gotta be calm, MaryAnn.
It's gonna be hard.
But we're gonna have a great conversation today. I'm really excited to know more about the kind of the origin of Aesthetics Biomedical and a little bit more about that. But I'm also really excited to talk about Vivace Ultra and Me, which is the skincare line that you guys created and run, and it sounds amazing from what you just told me about it. So let's start with, I want to talk about how Aesthetics Biomedical came to be.
Interesting start. I will say right off the top, I never ever thought I would be running an aesthetics company. So,
What did you think you would be doing?
running it like more of a
Running an
science-based
army.
or science organization.
Yeah,
more like
running
that.
a science
Right.
organization.
So, I mean,
Okay.
I spent 20 years at the National Institutes of Health, so I
Mhm.
was pretty deep into the science. And then with my business background, really got interested in how do you take hardcore scientific results and turn them into products that serve the people.
Okay.
Okay. And so there's a lot of great science out there that doesn't get to the public. There's a lot of science out there that doesn't need to get to the public, right? And so you have to have which is the science that needs to be focused on and turned into something better. So when I moved out to Arizona, I was with the Translational Genomics Research Institute, TGen,
Mhm.
and oversaw their operations and then oversaw their organization that tried to take their science and commercialize it.
Okay.
That evolved to me setting up a biomedical device incubator. So again, working with scientists, trying to get these products to the public faster. And then we had a case come to the incubator of a device out of Korea that couldn't get FDA approved.
Mm.
So they asked us to look at it, and so we worked with that group and helped them design a clinical study that would make it through FDA
Mhm.
and get the device cleared. Well, it ended up being the Vivace, one of the first radiofrequency microneedling devices that came into the United States. And then the next question was, okay, now it's approved, who's going to sell it? And my board and some of my folks said, hey, we'll help get you funded.
Yeah.
And we were off to the races. I created the company, raised capital, and the device, we were selling it in, we formed the company, I think the year before, just as a shell. Got it funded in March of 2016, sold our first device in May of 2016, and have been off to the races since then.
I bet that was an exciting moment in May of 2016 where you're like, yes.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
The first
because it
one.
just was like, we didn't even have time to stop and think about what we were doing. We
Yeah.
were off and running, and I'm doing distribution agreements with people in aesthetics, and I don't even know aesthetics. They're asking me about it. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was, the business. I mean, and that's kind of the interesting thing. You can have a great product, but if you don't know how to navigate FDA or know what's required, it can go nowhere.
Yeah.
And so I think what I've really tried to bring to Aesthetics Biomedical is the science, is okay, what are we doing? Let's not just do smoke and mirrors. Let's have strong science behind what we're doing.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'll say, before I got in aesthetics, I kind of thought it was a little bit of a seedy ingredient. So when I remember saying, hey, when I go and meet some of these people, I feel like I need to take a shower. It's like, and then after I got the company started and I started doing more, I said, now I think I need to take 2 showers a day. So it was one of those ones where I really felt like we have to make sure that what we're offering to the public does make a difference, does make sense, and isn't, I want to make money. I want the company to make money. I want my shareholders to make money. But I want us to approach it in the best possible way. I mean, you can't guarantee outcomes, but at least we can do enough science behind what we're doing to say, okay, this is what the science says. This is what we've proven with a clinical study. This is the outcome that, most of the people should get. Unfortunately, sometimes that varies, but, and that's what we did with the Vivace and now with the Vivace Ultra Vision. That's what we did with our SoMe skincare product.
Yep.
We have published papers on SoMe skincare. We've pushed the envelope with some of the science, and that's exciting. So, and we've backed ourselves with tremendous scientific advisory board, as well as what we call our more clinical ambassador group that uses our products and then advocates for the products as well.
It's awesome. So from the time that the first device was created and got FDA approval in March of 2016, and we'll jump forward a little bit, but I want to jump backwards until 2022. You said October
Hmm.
2022 when the Vivace Ultra Vision was created and got FDA approval as well in
Hmm.
October 22. What happened during that time? There was a lot of scaling, there was lots of device sales, the team was built.
Yeah. Well, everything happened. I mean, and when we started the company, or well, when I started the company, I didn't want to be a distributor, right?
Okay.
I mean, that's what we were doing with the first device,
Yeah.
and I wanted to have more innovation and more control because when a provider says, "Oh, this handpiece is way too heavy,"
Hmm.
I want to say, "Oh, maybe I can get that fixed in the future," right? And so for the first 2 years, when we sold the device, or actually for quite a few more years than that, we heard complaints,
Okay.
from providers. Oh, it
Which makes
doesn't.
sense because, it's a brand new thing. It hasn't had years of experience working in the field and
Right.
trying it out. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I mean, and so it's like the handpiece. Oh, women use it, but it's too heavy for women.
Uh-huh.
So it's too wide. We need to
Yep.
reduce the circumference. So we listened to all of these things. Oh, we want to have. We need to go deeper. The needles need to go deeper. Oh, we want to have them go faster. So we listened to all of this information, and we started designing. And Sean Wooten is our lead engineer, innovator, Wonder Boy. One of the first things I did was I found this Superman poster and I put it in his office. So he's our Superman.
Yes.
So he's been amazing. And, just a little aside on Sean is that I hired him as an intern
Hmm.
when he was just graduating from ASU. He was an intern for about 6 weeks, hired him on, and he's been the rock star since. And that's,
Wow.
again, when you think about the community, it's like we're here in Arizona. We do things in Arizona. We hire students. We give them opportunities.
Yep.
And I think Aesthetics Biomedical is just really is the showcase for how you can develop new companies and have a really positive economic impact.
Yeah.
But back to the design of it. So, we listened to everybody. And when COVID hit, frankly, and we sell to practices, we sell to, doctors, med spas. They closed down. They couldn't see patients. And so during that time, I said to the R&D group, do not slow down the development of the new device.
Yeah.
Let's use this opportunity. And so we went full speed ahead during that time to really develop our own product then and to incorporate all that information that we'd learned, to do the design, to come up with something different, to collect data in a way that the data hasn't been collected.
Hmm.
We had a wonderful, as I said, scientific advisory board to help us do that. And so what I love about the UltraVision is it reflects what the community wants. And I believe it is a product that will give the patients the results they want and they pay for. I mean, you pay a lot of money for aesthetics. You need to get what you deserve
Yeah. So
from
tell
it.
me the main differences between the Vivace Legacy and the Vivace Ultra Vision.
So the primary one is the vision piece
Okay.
of it, okay,
Which is ultrasound.
which is the
Okay.
ultrasound. So we thought, okay, we're into personalization, right? Everybody talks about it's me. Community is like everybody's different. From a DNA perspective, we're 99.9% exactly alike,
Yep.
right?
Right.
But that 1% makes a big difference. And so, what does that mean? Well, when you're trying to use radio frequency to have a positive impact on a treatment, what you're trying to do is get that energy into the dermis. So you have these needles that come out of the handpiece, they go into the dermis, they emit radio frequency.
Hmm.
The more damage you can do, the better outcome you will get. Okay. And then, you know, You don't want to hit the epidermis necessarily because you might get tracking.
Hmm.
You don't want to go too deep. You could hit fat. You don't want to reduce the fat intentionally. You might
Right.
want to when you're using it on the
Depending on the part
body.
of the body. Sure,
Exactly,
sure.
right. So, but you want to know, and we're all different, and especially when you're talking the differences between an epidermis and the dermis and the depth
How
of
much
that.
of a difference are we talking in depth?
Well, so the epidermis, we're going from point like 8 to 1.8 is usually where we're seeing a lot
Millimeters.
of that. Yeah,
So it's
of the
basically
epidermis.
nothing.
Yeah, very little, very little. So you can shoot one way or the other.
Hmm.
But again, you want to get those needles right in that. Some people go to 2.2 millimeters deep in their epidermis. Some don't. So in your forehead, what we were talking about earlier is your forehead. Actually, you can go a little deeper than you would think because
Right.
you hit your head and you think you're hitting the bone, but actually the depth of the epidermis and dermis is substantive enough that you could actually do a good treatment there. Under the here, you're going to have more fat. So again, you might want to hit the fat in that.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing that I found with it is we think about it as just let's stimulate, create that thermal damage that will create collagen, elastin, stimulate that. The body's doing what the body does.
Hmm.
We're just stimulating it to do it more efficiently
Right.
and focused, right? And that's the other thing I like about it. It's not putting something into the body that's not you. And not that, Botox fillers, those are all great, but I love that we're focusing on how do we have the body do what the body does best
Hmm.
and help the body continue to do that even when we get older and it's slowing down a little bit. We just go and give that little stimulus of,
Yep.
energy.
So when you're able to measure with ultrasound, do we call it the length of the epidermis?
It's the depth.
The depth of the epidermis, and you're able to get to the hundredth of a millimeter to where you want to be in order to achieve the best results and maximize the amount of collagen and elastin that you're stimulating, right? How are you seeing results? Because you have data, it's anonymous, right?
Hmm.
You have data on how the device is working and how it's healing, or what do we know in terms of the effectiveness that the Ultra has compared to even the legacy Vivace or other RF devices that are out there on the market? What are you seeing in terms of effectiveness?
Okay, lots of questions, kind of in dynamics there. Um, Radio frequency works. Okay, it's proven. Any device you have, it works.
Yep.
It works better the more thermal damage you can create.
So the more
Okay, purposeful
energy.
energy. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
purposeful injury, we call it. Placing it at the right spot. Then we have what we call insulated or non-insulated needles. So as we approach this, we designed to have a 4 needle, a 36 needle, and a 60 needle. Complicated. So the same energy comes out of the handpiece, but then that energy is dispersed through 4, 36, or 60.
Okay.
So, right?
Yep.
So now you think
So
about,
the four fit, you can feel the four.
you're gonna feel, there you go, that you got it right away. So if you're trying
You can feel that.
so if you're trying to do like a little lifting in the eye, right, which is a big thing, that 4, you can lift that, put that energy, and you're going to get more of a lift
Yep.
because you have that concentrated energy.
Okay.
If you're doing the body, you might want to move faster, and the body's a little bit more sensitive. So using the 60 tip, not insulated, you're going to be able to move quicker. You're still going to get energy there. The non-insulated is going to give you more energy. And then we have 3 megahertz. We have 0.5 megahertz, which is what we would say the more powerful, would create the most thermal damage, the 1 megahertz and the 2 megahertz. So you have all of these different factors, right? And when you're looking at a patient, you're like, okay, we want you to get the best outcome, but we want you to have the least pain.
Yeah.
We want you to have, a tolerable experience.
Yep.
And so the device, when we designed it, allows this flexibility. It allows the person to say, okay, I know exactly now how deep I want to go. All right. I know I want to use a insulated needle because I want that energy to go right exactly where I want it to go, because an insulated needle, the energy just comes out at the tip of the needle.
Yep.
So all
Right
the energy
there
is
where
going to
it
go
goes
right
in.
where I want it to go. All right. but I want to move it. So now I have a device that actually you can move the in point oh 0.01 increments of depth. So
Hmm.
very adjustable and detailed, right? Versus other devices that you don't have that kind of flexibility, or it's already pre-programmed that it goes a certain depth and you just have to go the depth that the device is designed for.
Hmm.
So again, that was what we tried to get, is this maximum flexibility to address a patient.
Yeah.
And then there's one other thing, we call it the on time. So how long does the needle stay in the dermis?
Yep.
Okay. The longer you can keep the needle in the dermis emitting as much energy as you can, the more damage you're going to do, the better results you're going to have.
Yep.
So we start, when most patients, you'll start with, you know, a fairly high level of all of that. And then if they can't deal with that, then you start to adjust. You say, okay, we'll reduce the downtime. We'll increase the power, but reduce the on time. And so what you end up being able to get, and getting to your question, is you can have really good outcomes, because when you put energy in your face, it's going to hurt, right? I mean, anybody that says it's not, is lying to you. But what you do is you have good numbing cream, and then you watch the patient, and we can adjust that. And you'll be surprised that you'll put the same amount of energy, but having maybe a different power level with longer on time, and then they'll tolerate it fine. And then they come back and they do their 3 treatments and all of that. And so, you know, you get good outcomes, but you don't have to make anybody suffer. And when I hear people saying, "Oh, that was a horrible treatment. Oh, that hurt so bad," like some of our competitors, I'm like, why would you want to do that? You don't
Right.
have to do that to your patient. You can get great outcomes without.
There's a lot of variable levers that you can pull, it
Yeah,
sounds like.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but we have to have a design to do so, and that's what we did. We designed it to do so.
Yeah.
Um, they were complaining that the needles go in and out, right? So some of the practices said, "Oh, we want it to go faster," and you can turn it on automatic, right? So you put the needles in, they go in, and they'll automatically go in and out, right? Then you can really move through a treatment very well. And that works really nice on the
Hmm.
body now. But our great engineers designed it. It was so fast you couldn't actually do it. It was like zipping through, like you're at a race, and we're like, whoa, everybody's like, slow down. So we had to go back and we changed it. Now it's beautiful. You have 4 settings on automatic, and they're at 4 different settings that people can grab onto, and it fits their own personality for how they want to do the treatment. But that was kind of one of the first fun things, is we knew we could change something. We changed it to what they wanted, and then we gave them too much of what they wanted, and we pulled it back a little bit.
We didn't mean it like this
Yeah,
fast. Yeah.
we didn't really mean that.
No, that's interesting. So then after you made all the changes and now that's introduced into the market, that's the one that you're pushing. We're seeing a lot of amazing benefits from the the new modality and like all the things that it can do. Where does the skincare come into play here? So me, and it's because you're so you, I'm so
Sure,
me, right? Everything is
sure, right.
individualized. Tell me about kind of where that idea came from, when it was created, and how that is part of the aesthetics biomedical family.
So it was one of the ideas early on of, how do you personalize skincare? How can you use your own cells, biomolecules, exosomes? And so when we got started, it was something with one of the physicians we were working with early on, who had the idea. Um, the the difficulty, that when we first had the idea, was you would have to take tissue, and you'd have to do a biopsy, take tissue, you'd
Yeah.
have to grow it, and it was a pretty convoluted way of doing things. We backed off of that, and when Sean came on, we looked at how can we use blood, PRP, in a way to simplify it, see if it works, and then we can kind of move on to maybe the more complicated down the road. And also, FDA had the rules and what you had to navigate, and FDA was, I think, still pretty new into aesthetics, and particularly into the biologics related to aesthetics.
Yeah.
So right now, like, PRP is one of the things that they said, it's your own, it's autologous, you can do what you want with it. We're not, we're kind of going to step away and You
How
have
are they
freedom to
gonna
operate.
how's anyone gonna say, "No, you can't use what's already in your
Right,
own
as long
body,"
as it's
right?
yours. I mean, and
Right.
they had, well, if you manipulate it, if you do this, but so we knew those rules, and when we created SoMe Skincare, couple interesting things. So you take one's blood, you spin it down, and you get their platelet-rich plasma.
Mhm.
People have heard of PRP. They've heard of the vampire facelift, injecting PRP into the skin, doing like a RF microneedling treatment and putting the PRP as a topical, so that when your channels are open from the treatment, your platelets will get absorbed more quickly
Okay.
into your skin.
Yep.
So that's the idea of using PRP post treatment, which we really recommend with a either a laser with a RF microneedling. Um, but then you had to use it, and the reason they would inject it or use it topically is that your platelets degranulate in 4 to 6 hours.
Okay.
And within those platelets, the degranulation is all your biomolecules, your exosomes, all of those emerge,
Yeah.
and then your body absorbs all of that, and that's that extra bump to help that generation of collagen and elastin, healing, and all of that.
Mhm.
So what our SoMe skincare serum does is it protects those platelets for 90 to 120 days.
Wow.
So that's huge. And from a scientific perspective, it's a massive accomplishment. We've got a couple papers on it. We did a couple studies. And so it's being purchased internationally, but we've not seen anything like that at all since then. So you will see exosomes that are in serums that preserve somebody else's exosomes, but your own personalized PRP exosomes or whatever is still under studies. People are still figuring out how do we do that. We just did a recent pilot where we took PRP, and Sean, when you talk to him, you can ask him about this, but we extracted the exosomes from the
Yeah.
PRPs. So then we actually created personalized exosomes that could be
Wow.
stored in the SoMe serum. So
Wow.
that's another level. It's a little bit more complicated for what doctors have to do, but we know you can actually have your own exosomes personalized, maintained in our SoMe skincare serum. And again, why would you want to do that? Because your body, even if you're putting a topical SoMe skincare on, your body recognizes its own cells, and they're of a size that they can be absorbed from the epidermis into the dermis.
Wow.
And so you have that benefit. And so that's why SoMe skincare, I think, is fabulous. It's particularly, and I'll speak from the studies that we've done, and also from my own personal experiences. If you have had a treatment, your healing time is reduced because your body is being healed by its own, exosomes, its own cells, its own everything. And
Yeah.
so that's really kind of a neat feature as well.
That's amazing.
I love it. I mean, SoMe to me, from a science perspective, is remarkable. From a personal perspective, and watching it being used is amazing. And I know when we did the two studies that we've done on SoMe skincare, which we did just as topical. We didn't do any treatments. I mean, we didn't do like any procedures with it. And to see the difference in an individual skin just using a topical
Yeah.
skincare, I mean, we were surprised. I mean, Zoe Dralos was the physician on our study. She's very well known. And I know the first set of photos I got back, I called her. I'm like, oh my goodness, really?
I
She's
wanna
like,
I wanna
yeah,
see those.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
add those to the episode here if I could get a copy of those, but
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it
amazing.
truly is. I mean, taking out redness, luminosity, getting rid of some brown spots on the face,
Just from a
and
topical
just from a
skincare.
topical, your day-to-day skincare.
And how do
Um,
they like, what's the process like? Do I get a blood draw at my physician or my med spa,
yep.
and then they send it to a lab or they send
No,
it to
no.
you?
It's actually like yesterday I ran out of my SoMe, so I went down into our clinic that we, do our studies on, and they drew my blood. I went back to the office. They, literally they spin it down. You'll get like 12 ml. Say
Yep.
you put 2 to 3 mLs in a bottle. You literally open up the bottle of the SoMe serum, put 3 mLs of your platelet-rich plasma, shut it, do 3, you get 3 months supply. You
Wow.
shake it a little bit so the PRP gets absorbed. brought it to me in my little Somi bag and take it home and put it in my refrigerator. And I just continued working. So you're in and out. You walk home with it.
Wow.
So like if you were getting a treatment and you had a Vivace Ultra Vision and they did the radio frequency and you said, hey, I want PRP post as my post procedure, you would do like a 30 ml blood draw. You'd put, maybe 10 ml of the PRP on your face post radio frequency. The other 10 ml that they draw, you'd put it in your Somi skincare and you'd go home with, 3 months of a personalized skincare product.
How many products are there in the line?
It's just the Somi skincare. So we just,
It's just the one topical.
Mhm.
I mean, it sounds like it's all you need.
Yeah, well, and this, I feel like, I'm not trying to exaggerate, but I mean, I literally quit using a bunch of other products because I would have, a
You don't need to
face.
name. You don't need to name which ones
Yeah,
there
no,
are, but it's all
but I'd
good.
use face, I'd use eye,
Hmm.
I'd use the
But now you've
retinol, I'd
literally
use the
just put it
vitamin
all over the whole
C.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, I had a whole drawer of this stuff. I
Yeah,
keep hitting this thing, I'm sorry.
it's okay.
And, it was nice to kind of go down to one,
Makes it a lot
yeah.
easier,
I mean,
faster.
and it's hard though. I almost felt like I was going through withdrawal. It's like, oh no, I have to have that other one. I have to. But
Yeah,
my skin was doing fine without it.
yeah,
And people talk about, oh, it's expensive to do a personalized skincare. You have to go in and you get your blood drawn. Yes, yes, that's all true. But if you're using, 5 different products in the morning and another 5 at night, and you add up the amount of money you're spending on all those, and you say,
yeah.
hey, I can have my own personalized, have one skincare product,
It has to be refrigerated.
Yes. So here's the thing. We figured out how to preserve the platelets,
Hmm.
right? So that was great. So now they're preserved. How do you reactivate them? So how do we make them now degranulate so that the platelets and all those wonderful, luscious biomolecules and cells and exosomes will come out of that platelet? So what we learned is if we put them in the refrigerator, cooled it down, when you take it out, put it on, and you rub it,
It
that heat
reactivates.
reactivates it when you. I'm going to beat this little.
maybe the reel we end up showing to advertise this episode will be you just like punching the microphone out of the
Punching the
way.
microphone.
Just make sure that Pascal doesn't see
Yeah,
it. That's all
Pascal's
I
going to
ask.
come and beat me. You put it on, and then your body does its natural thing, and the heat pulls it in, and all of that. But it's pretty cool. And we're in Arizona. It's so refreshing when you put that cool
Oh yeah,
Somi
I bet.
skincare on. And a lot of folks find even when they do post, like if you had a CO2 or some type of other type of treatment, you put that cooling on after, it just feels great.
Yeah.
So
So can this be done at any physician's office, or does it have to be done at your specific?
no, any physician, anybody who can draw blood has a phlebotomist that can draw blood, or nurse or whatever, and they have a centrifuge.
So then once they literally have that, they hand you the PRP, and then you have your.
They do. They have
Oh,
they buy
they
the
have it.
bottles. They buy bottles of Somi skincare. They just have it in stock.
Amazing.
And if the person wants 1 bottle, 3 bottles, they can decide what they want to do.
Wow.
Just depending upon how much they want to. Like for some might say, hey, I'm doing an ablative laser treatment.
Uh-huh.
I want to send them home with just 30 days of
Yeah.
Somi. So you draw enough blood to do post treatment, and then enough to go in 1 bottle, and then you send them home with that. So again, flexibility. It's what they need to best treat their patient. What is going to best help the patient get the outcome the patient has just paid a lot of money to
Yeah.
get.
Absolutely. This is so fascinating. So,
I
and
love
when
it
did
too. I mean, I love the science, and I love the idea that again, it's taking what we were designed to run efficiently into, our bodies to do things. And, what happens as you age, things just slow down. And, it's funny. This is just a quick story about me and, getting into aesthetics, because I used to say I want to be in serious science, right?
Mhm.
And I remember having a lunch with he was the former president of Blue Cross Blue Shield when I was thinking about doing this. And I said, I don't know, it's really departure for me from, working at TGen, trying to find cures for cancers. And, my last job was deputy director of the Cancer Institute. This is way off. And he said to me, he said, MaryAnn, the population is aging. And as this population ages, depression, things set in. And we spend so much money from a healthcare perspective on helping people deal with the aging process
Mm.
that if you could do anything that makes them feel better about themselves, makes them
Yeah.
feel like they want to be in the workplace longer, do that. And it was like, it was the thing that let me feel comfortable with doing this. And
Yeah.
now, since I've aged, running a small company, I've aged twice as fast as I want to. But it really does become important because you realize, wow, I've got to still be out there. I want to look my best. I got to get on this Zoom call, this podcast. I got to, this is what's expected of people now. And, I want to look as good as I can. I want to age gracefully, and, be the best I can be for as long as I can do it.
Yeah.
So I've kind of really evolved into a big advocate of trying to use personalization, trying to, help people look and feel how they want to, not way out there where you're trying to be something you're not, but how do you, be who you are for as long as you possibly can.
I
And
like that. I also never, in my wildest dreams, did I wake up this morning and think that I would hear the words be said, luscious biomolecules that you said earlier. That was pretty good. Luscious biomolecules.
it's good, yummy.
Yummy. Yummy.
Well, when you know what they can do
Those
for you,
yummy,
it's
luscious
delightful,
biomolecules.
wow.
Delicious. I love that. What's next for Aesthetics Biomedical and for you? What's in 2020 in store for 2025 and beyond?
So, I mean, we do have more ideas for how we can evolve the Ultra Vision.
Okay.
We've talked about, so the ultrasound, now that it's a handpiece on the device, it's being used for other things. So one of our physicians, probably more than one, they now scan the face, an ultrasound face, when their patients come in as part of their patient consult,
Oh,
so that they look, see, they can see where fillers are.
yeah.
So they're using it to say, okay, I'm going to get a read on your face. And then
Mm.
later on, they can go back and they can look at things and they can then do another read to see, hey, has the depth of the epidermis, dermis changed? Have we accomplished some of the things we wanted? So I think we're going to see more of that. We've also, we know that we can do deeper imaging, so you can get look at different like sebaceous glands
Okay.
and different things. So if you wanted to do other treatments, so if you want to treat hyperhidrosis or acne, where you want to target a gland and
Yeah.
use the radio frequency to wipe that gland out in a targeted way, we know that the device is going to be able to do that.
Wow.
The 0.5 megahertz will do that.
Yeah.
Now we just have to
Permanently or temporarily, or it like stuns
it'll
it?
wipe it out. I
Wow.
mean, yeah. So I mean, like somebody has a serious case of hyperhidrosis, it could really have a major effect on that.
Yeah.
But we've got to do the studies, takes money. We'd have to make sure how would we, is the ultrasound designed perfectly to do that? So where we go is we look at what are the other possibilities that we can use the radio frequency. What do we have to do to redesign the handpiece to be able to accommodate those other possibilities?
Yep.
So we're looking at that right now. We're looking at data, how we're collecting the data,
Mm-hmm.
how we can use that. I'm really excited about the fact that we have data, and we know what a practice, how many times they use the device a week. We know where they're using it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you think somebody might say, oh my God, Big Brother's watching you. But we look at it and we said, oh my goodness, they're only using this device 3 days a week. Do you know how much money they're losing? If they just did it 6 times a week, they could double their revenue. They're only using it on the face. If they could use it on the body, they could triple their revenue. And so I'm excited because I'm like, oh my goodness, you have a tool there that you're not fully utilizing. And we now know, and we can go in and we can say, how do we help you do that? How do we get more of your patients on that? Do you not know how to use it on the body? And to me, again, this is getting back to, as a company, how do we help that practice?
Yeah.
Do as much as they can, do as well as they can. And so that really excites me, is that piece of it that we have and a lot of other folks, I don't think anybody else has.
Yeah.
So now we'll be able to unleash that. And then again, just fine tuning, the device, trying to create, more uses of it. We like the device. I mean, I guess I'm a consumer at heart,
Hmm.
and they spend a lot of money to buy this device. And so to me, I want this device to be able to give them as much as they can. So
Yeah,
that's why it
absolutely.
has 0.5 megahertz, 1 megahertz, 2 megahertz. You know, you shouldn't have to go buy another radio frequency microneedling device. You know, we built it with a platform that we could grow on. So now it has the bells and whistles. Now we need to do the clinical studies to say, okay, now here's another way to use the 0.5 megahertz that you hadn't thought about in the past.
Yeah.
Here's another way to use the 2 megahertz that we weren't suggesting before. And so that's where I hope in the next couple of years we're able to do that. We've got the R&D team working on international clearances. God bless them, because that is such a, quality is so difficult. And thank goodness there's a good team that Sean's directing that's working on that. But we're working on our MDSAP, getting into Canada, getting into Australia. We already are in uh, Armenia, working on Israel too, Jordan. We just sent 2 devices to Russia for clearance, to get clearance in Russia. So that's kind of exciting too, is to
Yeah.
see, getting an international footprint, or more of an international footprint. And both SOMI and Ultravision are international. SOMI got international before Ultravision got
Okay.
international. And again, hopefully made in the United States. Internationally, they love it that it's made in the United States. Good for the economy, good for Arizona. It's made in Mesa, and our Somi skincare is made in Chandler. I mean, we're trying to
That's so
do
cool.
all the good things for the company, for the local community, and for the United States. I kind of like it. Makes me feel good every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited to have learned more about this. This is really interesting to me, and I love the science behind it as well. I love that it's local. I'm a Phoenix native too, and I'm really excited for you and the company to be expanding the international footprint as well. That's great. That's great. All the technology seems incredible. Learning about it, I one of the first microneedling RF microneedling devices that I came in contact with. I've been doing social media content,
Mhm.
influencer stuff since 2012. So I've been around for a long
Okay.
time in this space, and specifically have been working with med spas since the beginning of 2021. And Vivace was, I believe, actually was the first RF microneedling device that I came across. And so it's really cool to be able to interview the founder and the CEO of the company that's putting it out there. So
Well, we got a good name brand, and we want to stand behind that name and the brand we've created, and we want to do it with good science, and make
yeah,
sure that whatever we do is the best for the patient, and they get the best outcomes. And that was actually, it was interesting when we were at the first show with the device. Somebody was at my booth and asking me a lot of questions, and I finally asked where their practice was, and they said, "Oh, it's in Bethesda, Maryland."
uh-huh.
Well, they were FDA, so they
Oh.
were. And I said, "That sounds familiar." And what they said is they did then say, "Oh, we're with the FDA," and I was like, "Oh, cool." And they were like, "You've got this all cleared?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And they said, "This is one of the safest devices we've ever seen. You've actually done something to protect the patient that we don't typically see." And I was like, "Oh yeah, we did. We're very proud of that."
Yeah,
So that was a kind of cool too, because when you think of all the different things you're doing, you want patient outcomes in that, but that patient safety,
it's the number one
right?
priority.
And recently, there's been companies where there have been adverse events that had to be reported to the FDA
Yeah,
because of radio frequency microneedling,
yeah,
and it's nice to be able to say that you know using this ultrasound, that won't happen to you. And it's nice to say that we have never had an adverse event with
it's good.
Vivace.
Yeah,
We're proud of that as well, right?
absolutely should
Good
be.
science, good patient safety,
Yeah.
good outcomes.
So for providers and clinics that would like to have a conversation about bringing the device or the skincare line into their practice, what's the best way for them to go about and do that?
Well, I mean, we've just got a new website, so all of our products are there. We have the
What's the
ability,
website?
Aesthetics Biomed,
Aesthetics Biomed,
biomedical.com. Yeah, pretty easy.
aestheticsbiomedical.com.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can go to a page and just ask for somebody to reach out to you. Um, you know, um, I'll give my cell phone number, which I never do. You guys can text me, 602-653-5375. I respond to texts. I just had an individual practice texting me last night wanting brochures. I said, no problem. I'll make sure you get them.
And
So,
maybe that's why the dogs and the cats started fighting. They weren't feeling the attention and the
they weren't feeling
eyeballs.
the love. They weren't feeling the love.
Maybe that's what was
Oh,
wrong.
so we are doing, looking at using SoMe in pets. More to
Okay.
come on that. We actually have, I won't talk about it too much, but we have a local vet that is working
Wow.
on using microneedling and SoMe on pets. So,
Wow.
the world is open.
Very fascinated
Yeah, yeah.
to know more about that and where that's going to go. That's
Right,
interesting.
right.
So there's the website. And if somebody's listening that wants to get treated with this device, is there a store or a location locator that they can?
Yeah, on the website, we have
Okay.
a physician locator.
Cool.
So you can go and see which one's close to you, or you can call us. We have folks that we can also reach out and help you navigate, because there's the old device, the Legacy is in some places, and then the new Ultra Vision is in other places.
Yeah.
And some folks want to go where the new device is. So, but, just reach out to us. We do try to make patient care and provider service our top priority. That when you buy the device, that's not the last time you see this.
Yeah.
It's the first time you see it. You get trained by our trainers. We have practice development managers that are there to help the practice grow the practice, which is why that data is so important.
Yeah.
Because our practice development managers take that and they're going to run with it with the practices. And then, we have great engineers and that to follow up if anything goes wrong. And so we really try to make it that, we're there for you, from the beginning, and hopefully while you buy more and more of our devices and products.
Absolutely. Thank you for the
Oh,
time.
thank you. Thanks
and
for
being
letting
here
us,
today.
letting me be on. It was a lot of fun and
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. I hope I didn't destroy the mic for hitting it so many times.
I'm sure it'll be okay, but if not, we'll
Just
figure
send me
it
the
out.
bill.
We'll figure it out after.
Okay.
But thank you very much. And thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, everybody.
All right, take care, everybody.